Act 1, Scene 2 of Twelfth Night begins with Viola asking, "What country, friends, is this?" The answer is Illyria, a coastal city on the Adriatic shore. It's a place somewhere near modern-day Croatia or Albania. Even for Shakespeare's early audience, this wouldn't have had many firm associations. It's just sort of somewhere else. So the answer she gets, Illyria, it only inspires more questions. Viola's follow-up is, "And what should I do in Illyria?" And in asking that, she implies that one could do or be whatever one wants. Illyria is a transitional space. It's a borderlands location. Our hero has entered an unknown world and will be transformed by it if she's open to that transformation. A new and unknown space is going to require adaptation. The old identities and performances that may have worked in the past, they may not work now. So by placing his story in this location, Shakespeare sets us up for a play about shifting identities, performances, transitions, and interpretations. I'm going to focus on interpretations and misinterpretations in a later video, but today I'm going to focus on that idea of Illyria and this play as a play about borders and transitions as we go through Act 1 of Twelfth Night play by play. And if doing big thematic deep dives into Shakespeare plays seems like it's your kind of thing, please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos. Let's get into it. So despite my introduction, Twelfth Night does not actually open with Viola washing up on the shores of Illyria, though some productions will choose to start it there. It actually begins with Duke, or Count, Orsino going on about music and love. In that opening speech, we find out that he's in love with a woman named Olivia and that he cannot control his desire for her. She, however, is mourning her dead brother and will not entertain any sort of courtship, so that's our status quo. Two people in fancy houses, and they're both sad. Orsino cannot fall out of love with Olivia, and Olivia will not entertain that love, so we're stuck. We're in need of some sort of agent of change. And enter a catalyst who has that potential to disrupt this situation. Viola washes up on the shore in the second scene, asking that big question, and what should I do in Illyria? In doing so, she calls attention to her potential, her variability, her adaptability, exactly the type of energy that Illyria needs to break out of this stasis. Orsino and Olivia are stuck in their behaviors, but Viola can do anything. Though she's not without her own traumas. Viola has experienced a shipwreck that most likely killed her twin brother, and from that wreck, she's been reborn without any fixed identity. We don't know much about her past at this point, we never really will, and I think that's part of the point. She used to be a sister to a brother. She used to be a daughter to a father, but those identities died in the recent past. Her existence on the shores of Illyria precede any essential identity. She has not traveled to Illyria with any specific direction. She's not there to trade or explore. She doesn't have a purpose, and so she can create purpose for herself. She can invent herself and be what she needs to be, and that's exactly what Illyria needs. Somebody truly free, somebody who is unstuck. She asks the captain more questions about this area and tries to decide what her new identity might be. Her first option is to join the house of Olivia, where perhaps they can mourn their brothers together, but she's told that Olivia is not receiving any visitors. So it turns out that mourning some past version of herself is completely off the table for Viola. She'll have to be something new. So she decides to commit herself to the service of the Duke Orsino, but in disguise. She says she'll be presented to the Duke as a eunuch. That doesn't happen. Instead, she's going to be presented as a young male servant who can sing, and that's also not going to happen. She's never going to sing a song in this play. So those plot lines are simply proposed and then dropped. The point is, she can be adaptable and she can perform. She has ideas like the eunuch and singer idea, but she'll drop them if she needs to. Instead of processing her brother's death, she's going to reinvent herself through service to the Duke. And then again, saying that out loud, maybe this actually is her way of processing and mourning the death of her brother. She's put herself into the service of Duke Orsino dressed as a boy. She's become her brother's doppelganger. She keeps him alive by becoming him. I mean, I don't know. I don't have those kinds of answers. And all that'll bring us to scene 3, which takes place inside of Olivia's estate and introduces us to some other Illyrian characters who similarly sit in a state of arrested development. Sir Toby, Olivia's uncle, has invited Sir Andrew over to pursue Olivia, even though we know that she has no interest in this. Really, it seems like Sir Toby has only invited Sir Andrew there simply to party and use Sir Andrew's money. So Sir Andrew is stuck. He's there to pursue Olivia, but Olivia cannot be pursued. He's stuck drinking and dancing with Sir Toby, and they're grown men acting like children, refusing to be confined within the modest limits of order, and refusing to change into something finer than they are. They're old men with old titles who refuse to adapt to their setting, let go of childish behavior, or move beyond antiquated perceptions of chivalry. With that established, we will move on to scene 4, which takes place at Orsino's estate. The adaptable Viola has become Cesario, a boy servant positioned well to disrupt that static nature of Illyria, a stranger with the potential to shake everybody from that stasis. Orsino seems to recognize this and instructs Cesario to visit Olivia on his behalf, though they both know that Olivia is not accepting visitors. Orsino believes that Cesario can be successful, that his plea to Olivia will be more welcome coming from Cesario, since Cesario looks like a girl, which calls attention to Viola's age. It seems as though she's an adolescent, a border between childhood and adulthood. In fact, in the following scene, Malvolio will say that Viola is not yet old enough for a man, nor young enough for a boy. She's in a transitional state of life. Sir Toby might be a man acting like a child in the previous scene, and it seems like Viola might be a child acting like an adult. Sir Toby and the rest of Illyria are stuck in the past, or maybe even the present. Viola alone hints at the potential to move on from the past and into the future, from childhood into adulthood. Viola also introduces some new complexities into what was a fairly simple love equation. In this scene, we find out that Viola has, in a short time, fallen in love with Orsino. She closes scene 4 by saying that, "Where I woo, myself would be his wife." So she kind of wants to be his wife. Orsino, the lover, now has a new identity, even if he doesn't know about it. He doesn't just love, he is loved, and by somebody other than himself. I don't know why I'm throwing shade at Orsino like that. The final scene of Act 1 begins at the gate of Olivia's house. Much of this play is going to take place in locations like this. There are the two primary locations, Orsino's estate and Olivia's estate, but then we have the spaces in between, the gates and the borders between the two. The transitional spaces of doorways play an outsized part in this play. In the final scene of Act 1, we're going to first meet Olivia's fool, Feste. He's been absent from the estate and nobody really knows why. He doesn't say, though I've read that some people attribute his absence to the mourning of his former employer, Olivia's father. If that's the case, it would make his first exchange with Olivia even more interesting than it already is. In the exchange, Feste tells her that she shouldn't be mourning the death of her brother unless she believes that her brother is in hell. If he's in heaven, then there's no reason to mourn. Maybe Feste has earned that insight during his absence. I don't know. We'll never know. It's never resolved. We're left to interpret it as we will, but that's a topic for a future video. Olivia seems to enjoy Feste's little argument, and she debates with her steward, Malvolio, about the merits of Feste's fooling. Malvolio, for his part, is not a fan of Feste at all, and this exchange is interrupted by a stranger appearing at the gate. It's, of course, Viola as Cesario, and she refuses to leave until she speaks with Olivia, even though she's been told in many ways that it is not possible to see Olivia. Viola, as Cesario, seems unthreatening enough, so eventually Olivia finally consents to allowing her to enter. In the first meeting between these two, Olivia and Viola, it's strange. Viola puts on her veil of mourning and then pretends not to be Olivia. She says to Viola, who is there to speak with her, "Speak to me, I shall answer for her," meaning Olivia. So Olivia says that she's going to answer on behalf of Olivia, and I find this scene fascinating. This is the first time in the play where the two primary sites of action have been joined. A messenger from the house of Orsino has crossed the threshold into the house of Olivia. It's a meeting characterized by performance. Olivia performs the role of a woman detached from herself through grief. The grieving Olivia will speak on behalf of Olivia. Additionally, Viola performs as Cesario, who speaks on behalf of Orsino. Orsino, on some level, knows that he's abrasive, so his role in this encounter is performed by a feminine boy. My point here is that the first time that these two sites meet each other, both want to control how they appear to the other. When Olivia asks if Viola is a comedian, Viola, as Cesario, says no, and yet, by the very fangs of malice, I swear I am not that I play. And in doing so, she admits that she's performing. In some ways, she removes the veil of her performance by acknowledging that it is a performance. That acknowledgement allows the two to have an incredible banter about the role that each plays in life. Each are constantly asking the other who they really are. Viola wants to make sure that Olivia is Olivia, and Olivia asks, "What are you? What would you?" They both want to see each other as they truly are without any of the artifice or performance. And this exchange climaxes when Olivia says, "You are now out of your text, but we will draw the curtain and show you the picture," revealing herself to be Olivia. In doing so, Olivia also removes the veil of her performance. So if we step back for a second, we realize that in her short time in Illyria, Viola has been able to get both Orsino and Olivia to open themselves up. In the previous scene, Orsino tells her that he has unclasped to thee the book even of my secret soul. The two of them, Orsino and Olivia, were both hidden, but Cesario unlocks the book of Orsino's soul, and Olivia draws back the curtain or veil to reveal her uncovered face. Viola catalyzes their transition. She allows them to move forward. As the banter between Viola, who is playing the role of Cesario, and Olivia continues, Olivia also seems to open up about the way that she experiences the desire of the men around her. This starts with the way that she unveils her face. She draws the curtain to reveal the painting of her face. This metaphor calls attention to the way that she feels objectified by her suitors. Viola, as Cesario, at first plays into this objectification when she says that Olivia would be cruel to leave this world without a copy of herself, meaning that Olivia has a moral obligation to have children. And Olivia responds to this to say that she's not cruel. She says that her beauty shall be inventoried and every particle and utensil labeled to my will. She recognizes that her body, in other words, is treated as a commodity. But Viola adapts her strategy, as she does, and stops playing that game of objectification. Rather than praise her physical features, Viola says, "I see you what you are," and goes on to outline how she, Viola, as Cesario, would love Olivia. Whereas Orsino listens to music, Cesario would write music and move to a hut outside of Olivia's house. Orsino's love is melancholic and self-important. Cesario's is active and self-sacrificing. And this works. Olivia becomes open to love. She says that Orsino should not send any more messengers unless that messenger is Cesario. Viola, playing Cesario, leaves the scene, and Olivia, desperate to see Cesario again, gives her steward a ring and tells him to give it to the peevish messenger who just visited her in hopes that she'll see him again. It's clear that she's fallen in love with Cesario at this point. Unknowingly, she's fallen for her mirror image. Though she doesn't know it, Viola has also lost a brother. She is also in mourning and trying to find a performance that will distance herself from herself as she works through that loss. Their names are also remarkably similar. Olivia and Viola share a lot of letters. In some ways, she has fallen in love with herself, and that may just be the thing that she needs to transition out of this mourning. And before we end this video, let's talk about Olivia's steward, Malvolio. For many people, he is the most memorable character in this play. In this final scene of Act 1, his first scene in the play, he criticizes Feste's performance, and Olivia famously chides him. "Oh, you are sick of self-love, Malvolio, and taste with a distempered appetite." So it seems that Olivia is not the only one in love with herself. And this self-love is going to be the topic of the next video as we go through Act 2 of Twelfth Night, play by play. Please subscribe if you want to be notified when that video is published, and thank you for watching.